Good morning, boys and girls. Today we're working on Unit 6, Lesson 17. And this morning we are going to read tricky words. We're also going to read the different spellings of consonant sounds. And we're going to answer questions about key details in the story Supper. So let's start out with our tricky words. Remember that tricky words are words that do not play by the rules. These are words that you don't sound out, you just have to memorize them in order to read them. So I'm going to show you a tricky word card, for example, A, and I want you to try and read the word before I do. We're going to play Beat the Teacher. If you don't know the word, then I want you to echo it after I read it to you. So repeat after me if you don't know the word. I know, so, of, is, all, some, from, word, are, have, were, one, once, two, do, who, two, the, said, says, was, when, where, why, what, which, here, there, he, she, we, be, me, they, their, my, by, no, so, some, you, your, because, should, would, could, down, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, today, yesterday, tomorrow, how, picture, coach. All right, how'd you do? Did you beat me in reading them? If you need some more practice reading tricky words, make sure that you rewind and keep practicing reading these tricky words, or sight words as we call them. Moving on to some spellings that we've learned. We've learned that the ch sound, like in the word chick, can be spelled with the letters CH or TCH. G, like in the word goose, can be spelled with the letter G or the double spelling double G. Like in the word mouse. We can spell that sound with M or the double letter M. Z, like in the word zebra, can be spelled with the letters Z, S, or double Z. Like in the word seal, can be spelled with the letters S, CE, SE, or double S. The j sound, like in the word jump rope, can be spelled with the letters J, GE, and we haven't learned these two, but it can also be spelled with GI or DGE. And L, like in the word lion, can be spelled with the letter L or the double letter spelling LL. Let's move on to our story for today, supper. So today's story is called Supper, and supper is another word for dinner. People have different words for the evening meal across the country. What does your family call dinner? Do you call it dinner or supper or maybe something else? In our story today, we're going to come across the phrase fresh greens. And fresh greens means a salad made from leafy greens like kale or spinach or chard. Those are fresh greens. You've probably eaten fresh greens before. We're going to read the word toots. a train might toot its horn. It makes a short, high sound. We're going to read the phrase at the wheel. And if someone is at the wheel, that means that they're driving the car. We're also going to read red velvet. And a red velvet cake is a red cake that has white frosting. It's very delicious. We have tricky spelling WH that makes the W sound in the words whip, when, and wheel. We're going to read tricky words with the tricky spelling KN that makes a N sound in the words knocks and knife. We're going to hear the S sound spelled with the tricky spelling SE in the word house. And a few other two-syllable words that we'll read today are invites, chickens, muffins, and frosting. So let's read today's story to find out what Grace serves at Sunday supper. Supper. Grace invites two of her pals from soccer to visit her house for supper. They are twin sisters. Their names are Kim and Jane Knox. Grace and her mom spend the morning cooking. They gather fresh greens from the garden. They cook 2 chickens in a big pan. They bake fresh corn muffins and a cake. Grace gets to crack the eggs and mix the cake. Her mom lets her help whip up the frosting too. And, best of all, she gets to lick the spoon when the frosting is finished. At 6, a car drives up and toots the horn. Mr. Knox is at the wheel. "That's them!" Grace shouts. She runs out to meet her classmates. They sit down for dinner. Kim Knox cuts the chicken with her knife. "Yum," she says. "This chicken is the best. It's so much better than the stuff our dad makes." Jane nods. She would tell Grace how good the chicken is, but her mouth is stuffed with chicken. "Save room for cake," Grace says. After supper, Grace brings in the cake she and her mom made. She helps her mom slice up the cake. "Ooh," says Kim. "What sort of cake is it?" "Red velvet," says Grace. "Yum," says Kim. "Can we visit next weekend too?" Now it's time for us to go on to Class Kick and answer questions about the supper.